How does the GI-Bill housing allowance work for Marines? Imagine earning an education benefit that not only covers tuition, but also helps support your living expenses while you study. That is what the housing allowance component of the Montgomery GI-Bill United States Marine Corps Chapter 38 provides. When Marines pursue approved educational programs, they may qualify for a monthly housing allowance designed to offset the costs of living during their studies. The housing allowance is calculated based on the location of the educational institution. Specifically, it uses the Department of Veterans Affairs established rates for housing allowances in various geographic areas. These rates are determined by the cost of living in each area and are updated annually. The allowance is intended to reflect the typical housing costs in the area where the student is attending classes, whether they are enrolled full-time or part-time. For Marines using the Montgomery GI-Bill, the housing allowance is paid directly to the student each month. The amount depends on several factors, including the number of credit hours taken and whether the student is attending on a full-time or part-time basis. Full-time students generally receive a higher allowance because they are taking more courses and, consequently, have higher living expenses related to their education. Part-time students receive a proportionally smaller amount. The housing allowance is also influenced by the student's enrollment status. If a Marine is attending school in person at a physical campus, they typically receive the full housing allowance based on the local area rate. If they are enrolled in distance learning programs, the allowance might be reduced or adjusted according to specific guidelines. Additionally, students who are receiving other housing benefits or allowances may experience adjustments to avoid duplication of benefits. It is important for Marines to verify their eligibility and the specific housing allowance rates for their area through the Department of Veterans Affairs or their educational institution's Veterans Affairs Office. Proper documentation and enrollment in an approved program are necessary to receive this benefit. Overall, the housing allowance aims to ease the financial burden of education by providing consistent support that aligns with local living costs, helping Marines focus on their studies without undue financial stress.